Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is for you. Welcome to another version of our Zoom math class. For today's class, we will be needing a half roller if you have one. A half roller is where it's kind of cut off. The bottom is not round anymore, it's flat. If you don't have a half roller, the best thing to do is to fold up a blanket, kind of like a half roller, and that will be just as sufficient. So, but I have one, so I'm going to use it. And we need a theraband as well. So I'm going to keep the theraband near me, close by, but we're going to start with the half roller. Remember, if you don't have one, you're just going to fold a blanket into a half roller. And what you're going to do is we're going to start with opening up our chest in a different way. Last week, we had that big, expansive upper body rotation. We're going to continue, but today we're going to open both sides at the same time. And then we're going to go to side lying to help open us up. So along that line, I'm going to check in with time just to make sure that I stay on time. And we'll begin. And some of you know that I'm kind of a little OCD, so I have to have everything a certain way, and now I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit far enough away from the roller, so it kind of feels like I'm diving into the roller. In our group classes at the studio, we call this kind of a cliff diver thought process. So that's where we're going to start, and we're just going to start with 3 breaths in that position. Here we go. I'm going to roll into that roller or a blanket. I was trying to speak long enough so you can find a blanket to roll into a half roller. All right. Now that I'm there, I'm going to try to settle in. The roller is poking me in the middle of my back, literally. If I could imagine where the neck space ends and the low back ends, in between those 2 areas is where I have my roller giving me a little acupressure feeling. So now along that line, I'm going to bring the theraband, rest it on the front of my hip bones, and let my arms just kind of rest wide side to side. And if that's not available, by all means, go as low as you need to let your arms and your shoulders relax. And we'll begin with 3 full breath cycles like we usually do. So take a nice inhale and exhale, let it go. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Wonderful. So now along that line, we're just going to allow the arm bones to float directly over the chest with the palms facing each other. And puppet arms is what I like to think of these. I'm just going to let a magic string from the ceiling pull my arms and my shoulder blades to go wide, and then let the arms rest back with the arms staying long. Shoulder blades end up kissing the roller. And now they come off of the roller and they kiss the roller. So it's just the arm bones gliding with the collarbone and the shoulder blade to kind of open up some of that myofascial tissue between the shoulder blades to help make it be a little bit more aware, so we can bring ourselves to postural awareness. And where is my eyes? I am looking directly at the ceiling, slightly in a forward angle. I'm trying not to look behind me because that'll let my neck go into extension. Wherever the eyes go, the body follows. So be kind to your eyes. Last 3. 2 more. 1 more. And then we're going to let the arms go into expansive circles. And that does not mean that you have to go there. It's whatever feels good for you. So just breathe as you're letting your arms find a way to reach wide side to side maybe above your head if that helps your ribs to help open up. Just don't allow the ribs to splay too much towards the ceiling. Last one this direction, and then we'll go 5 or 6 the other way. Just circles to kind of release any unwantedness to where the arm meets the collarbone and the shoulder blade area. Breathing comfortably. Wonderful. I forgot to count, so I'm going to say that's my last one. So now I'm going to take my hands literally at where the ribs end and give myself a little pep talk to let those ribs get comfortable and heavy down onto the roller. And then take an exhale to let the pelvis tuck towards me, meaning a tilt of my tailbone towards my nose to broaden the space across the small of my back, and then release it back away. Just that part. My feet are hip width apart. My knees are pointing directly up. And then I exhale, soft eyes, soft jaw, soft collarbones, a lot of acupressure, and then release. 3 more times. We're just going to tilt the tail towards our nose, letting the low belly spread wide into the space of the small of your back, and then release. 1 more of those. And release. Now I'm going to let my hands interlace my fingers, find my hands behind my head, take an inhale, elbows come up, exhale, curling my head, neck, and shoulders to come up and look at my pubic bone. And then I'm going to invite the tail to curl towards my nose. So I have a nice broad C curve in my spine, and then release it back away. So if you are not allowed to go into a C curve with the roller, then please don't do so. Always honor your body's requests. And going back into the roller. Breathing out, letting your breastbone get heavy into your backbone as you nod your chin slightly towards the chest, and then we release it back away. So if you could imagine there's a tiny orange between your chin and your chest, that'll keep you having your bobble in your head and soft across your neck. On your next one, we're going to stay in our sternum fold and the pelvic tilt. Pause there and just let your hands get loose. Arms go nice and long towards the sides of your thigh bones. And you're just going to breathe and let the front body get wider and broader. That's it. Last one. And then roll your way back down. So now that we feel like, oh, I'm resting a little bit more on the roller, we're going to enhance that connection of where the shoulder blades meet by bringing the theraband into your hands. I have it in the thumb meeting the index finger crease of my hands. And I'm going to keep the intention of the pinky sides of my hands, forearms and arms, or the lower arms and upper arms connected to the shoulder blades. All I'm going to do is pull wide side to side and then release the energy back up to the sky. Just simple, and you choke as little or as much. This range of motion is always predicated by how easy something is rather than how hard something is. So please remember, we want to tap into our body's wisdom of how we can make our movement efficient and easy. When efficiency marries ease, life is very grand. We have 4 more of these. It's very tempting to splay the ribs up, but we don't. 3, 2 more. And 1 more. Be mindful that the upper traps are not helping you. And then release. How did you go? I know you did well, right? So now I'm just going to start with the fist connection. I'm going to pull out a little bit. Keep the energy of the theraband, both sides of the wrist happy. I'm just going to let that energy go behind me as the arms go above my head, as long as that's comfortable with the shoulders. And I'm going to take it all the way towards my thigh bones. That same arm bone movement, but with just a little bit of energy and effort between the shoulder blades right now. We have 5 more of these. Being mindful that you don't have a death grip. It's just what's necessary for a grip to pull out on the band. And once you have your number that floats your boat, I have 3 left. And I'm just breathing easy, settling down comfortably. And I have 1 more. Excellent. And then I'm going to let that theraband rest, roll off to the side to take the roller off, or you take the blanket off and just lay there for a moment, just to notice how much nicer that space between your head to the bottom of your ribs feel. I hope you feel that connection. I'm going to take the theraband, put it aside, slide that roller or the blanket underneath the flat part of my bum by lifting my hips up, or right above the low, right in the low back section or above the pelvis, just enough for you to feel a good stretch for the front of your right thigh bone by letting that right leg stretch out. And you're going to bring the left leg into your chest and just let it rest in your hands if you want to, or don't hold it, let your arms rest and let your left knee just come towards your chest. Whatever you're comfortable with. I like holding between my knee space just because I've been working on a lot of knee related issues. So from here, my right leg is just in a downward slope from the roller. I'm going to let that right thigh bone roll outward, so the big toe points away from the body, heel points towards the body. Take a breath in, let it go. On your next exhale, you're going to let that right leg float directly over the hip and lower it all the way down. Just that part. We're just talking to that low belly wall to help us keep the organization of how easy can I let the right leg lift up and down. 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Wonderful. Bring that right knee, drag it into your chest. Hug yourselves just to notice how easy the right thigh bone feels compared to the left. Stretch the left leg nice and long all the way down onto the floor. It's in a downward slope from the pelvis and the hip down. And you just get to breathe. You're holding wherever you're happy, or you're not holding if you don't want to hold your knee. Wherever you are, just breathe a couple more breath cycles. And then let your left thigh bone roll out if it didn't already go there. Apparently mine also went there. Very surprising to me. And then from there, I'm going to bring it back to neutral and allow my exhale to float that left leg up. My low belly drops into my back as I float my leg up and lower it down. It's a very gentle, deliberate pace, because you know my intention and focus is always to let my body have easy time with movement. So that's my goal permanently in life. Last 2. And 1 more. Excellent. And then I'm going to hug that left knee into my chest. Oh yeah, that feels really nice. And I'm just going to let the small of my back get as much of a stretch as possible. And once I feel easy, I'm going to let my hands rest on the roller or my arms, and then stretch both legs towards my face if that's available. Some of us have a slight bend in the knees. That's okay. Sometimes we just need this hamstring stretch. Now, if this is not comfortable and you need to be further away from the body, to get a better stretch. Whatever you need to do, please honor your body's requests at all times. Just breathe. Wonderful. So now we're going to bend one leg, put that foot down, bend the other leg, put the other foot down. And then I'm going to slide the roller or your blanket off from underneath and rest my bum back down. Do you feel a difference between how the pelvis rests on the earth? I hope you do, because I sure do. So now from there, we're going to bring that theraband back into that connection. I'm going to wrap my theraband, lift my legs off around my thigh bones, and just where it has a knot to help me feel it, not necessarily a really tight band, just making sure I say that out loud. And I'm only going to do one little knot just to keep it easy for me to take it off in a moment. Excellent. My feet are hip width apart, my knees are hip width apart. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my collarbone and my shoulder blades staying as happy and open as possible. Breastbone resting heavy into my backbone. Ribs heavy onto the earth. The small of my back is slightly off the ground. And I'm going to invite the small of my back to kiss the earth by curling the tailbone. Tiny amount of energy outward with the theraband. Find all corners of your feet, press into your feet to float your bum up into that pelvic tilt bridge. Pause into your bridge and tiny amounts of energy out, 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 out. You only press out to where the big toe side of the border of your feet does not come off the ground. It's all about the outer thighs and outer pelvis connection. Last two and one, and then you roll your way back down. Wonderful. I hope you felt good. Now I'm going to let my arms go overhead. If that's available to you without the ribs splaying, do so. Goalpost is okay. Arms wide to side to a T is also okay. One more bridging sequence. I lost my big toe side of the right foot, so I'm going to talk to it. Take a breath in. Exhale, pelvic tilt. Find all corners of the spine kissing the earth and the back, and then you float your hips up. The knees are resting directly over the heels, which means the shin bone and the ankle bone are having a happy conversation with each other. Keep that connection and just let the right side of the pelvis dip down and bring it back up. Left side of the pelvis dips down, bring it back up. Right side of the pelvis dips down, bring it back up. Left side of the pelvis dips down, bring it back up. It's like you're letting your pelvic halves move independently with your thigh bone without the knee having to go into too much torquing. Last two each side. One more. And then we roll our spine back down. How did it go? I know you're saying, great, and I'm going to unravel the theraband. That was it. And I'm going to bring the theraband into the right foot. I'm going to go into my one leg roll up with climb a tree feeling. So I have my theraband soft around my foot, and I have the toes just completely disappearing into the band just to keep that ankle flexion connection happening, because it's really easy to point the foot, and this way my foot is kind of resting in the ankle. There's not a lot of energy in the Achilles. I have each hand on each side of the theraband. I take a breath in, exhale, curl my head, neck, and shoulders forward and peel my weight all the way up to sitting, and then pull that leg as close to me by bending my elbows towards my waist. And then letting that leg fall down in front, lift it right back up. Letting it fall down in front, lift it right back up. Letting it fall wherever it falls. It does not have to go all the way down onto the earth, by the way. Last one. And then I'm going to keep my wrists happy, my elbows down, my shoulders relaxed, and roll all the way down, taking my time. If a roll-up is not in your practice, then by all means, skip this section and meet me in a few moments. We only have 2 more. Healing my way up, pausing up top, curling back, and rolling down, taking my time. It's an invitation for each vertebra to find its new place to rest on top of each other. And yes, I'm quivering. I love the quivers. That means that I'm working nice and deep. I'm going to let that right leg rest on the earth and just fold on top of my thigh bones to notice how much easier I'm sitting on my right thigh bone. Find the band onto the left foot. Remember, you're putting it all around your toes just to keep the ankle happy. Roll all the way down onto your back. That left leg is directly over your hip. Pause for a moment. Take a breath in. Let it go. Exhale, let that leg roll forward. Nod your chin, curl up, and roll your way up. Once again, those quivers came back. Yes. And once I come all the way up this time, I'm going to bend my elbows to pull that leg as close to me as possible. Send it all the way down in front if I need to. Close to me and away. Long leg. I'm using the theraband as my way to step into my foot a little easier without having to overwork the quad, overwork the hamstrings, overwork anything for that matter. Last 2. A lovely assist for the leg to roll deep in the socket, the thigh bone. Last one, keep it here and roll down. One leg roll down and roll up 2 more times, as long as that's in your practice. Lovely. And last one. I love using the theraband on a daily basis. So, wonderful. So now from here, we roll up one more time. Totally lost track of where I was for a second there, guys. Sorry. And then fold forward. Oh, yes. I feel much more even. I'm going to go on to my side already. I know you're wondering, that was a quick little section. Because, time just flies away from us. I'm going to lie all the way down on my side, but here's a chance you can use that blanket for a pillow for your head and neck. But I'm at a point where my shoulder is pretty happy today, especially since I opened everything up. I have my theraband close towards me since I want it close. The first part is I'm going to pretend I have a wall behind me. I do have a wall I could use if I wanted to. That I have my head to tail connection, everything in the front lifting up towards my throat. I have that top leg long, bottom leg bent. So I'm on my left side of my thigh bone and hip and my whole left side body. My right arm is going to stretch in front of me. If you're on your pillow, your left hand is going to be out in front of you. You're going to rest your right hand on top of the left hand. You're going to take that right hand a little bit forward, so your upper back ends up twisting towards the ground, the right side of the upper back. You're going to drag that hand back to where you were, drag it all the way on the earth towards your chest, roll it across the chest, and then take it back behind you. And then circle the arm all the way towards the ceiling and towards the earth. It's a half circle. Take it as far forward. Take a breath in. And then exhale, drag it towards you. And then you're going to drag that hand across to your chest, across the collarbone, all the way back. Let your head, neck, and eyes go with your right hand. Circle the arm up and forward. Last one. Excellent. Now we'll use theraband. We're going to put the theraband in the right foot. And I've got equal parts of the theraband, just so it's easy. And also because I'm quite OCD, guys. As you can tell, I'm taking my time doing this. And I'm going to choke fairly close to the foot. just because that'll give me a really nice right shoulder and neck stretch. And it's very tempting for the head to be forward of the neck. As you notice, I had to move my head back. My eyes are forward, but they're wide and soft. I'm going to let that right leg, the right hip is directly on top of the left hip. Right leg is going to swing back behind me. It's going to fall. I'm going to pick it up, bring it back to directly under the hip. So the right thigh bone goes about 5 to 10 degrees behind me. I let it fall. I pick it back up and swing it forward to where it's in line with the hip. Just that part. We take it back, we let it fall, we lift it up and bring it forward. I don't have a death grip in my theraband. Easy hand grip. I hope you feel the stretch across the front of the right hip and thigh bone. I sure do. I do feel a little work across my right bum, but not quite a bunch. I don't ever feel a whole bunch. There we go. And I think this is 7 for me. I'm going to stick to the number 7. So now I'm going to let my elbow bend as I bring the right leg out in front of me. And I'm going to take it as far back behind me as I lengthen. Elbow bends as the leg comes forward. Elbow lengthens as the leg goes back. Inhale, flex. Exhale, soft point. Inhale, flex. Exhale, soft point. Here's number 4. And 5. And 6. And one more, 7. Wonderful. And now from here, I'm going to keep that right leg behind me. 7 tiny circles with that right hip directly on top of the left hip. 7 tiny circles, both directions. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now I'm going to bring it slightly in front of me, keeping that right leg nice and long, right hip directly over the left hip. I have to consciously remind myself of that. And I'm going to let the thigh bone rotate out, thigh bone rotates in. So if I could pretend the heel is going through a keyhole and it's going back and forth, that's what I'm thinking about. My sit bone to my heel bone, rotating in and out. 14 of these. I know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm still in my theraband. I'm trying to find length. 11, 12, 13, 14. Wonderful. I'm going to come out of the theraband. How did you feel? Come up to having a seat for a moment. Sit with your legs out in front of you and notice how much heavier you're sitting on the right sit bone. Fold forward and notice how easy that whole right side body feels compared to the left side body. Can you tell you also feel longer on your right side? It's pretty massive. I mean, at least it is for me. So same love for the other side. Ooh, I love that feeling. I know last week we did all of those fancy movements from mermaid to teaser in front, all of that stuff. I remember. All right, so the first part was lying on our right side. So we're on the right side of our thigh bone, finding your pillow or whatever you need. Left hip is directly on top of the right hip. Left hand reaches out in front of you. And you allow that left hand to drag you so far forward that your upper back twists towards the earth, and you drag that hand on the earth all the way towards you as you bend your elbow towards your chest and take it up and back somewhere behind you. And then you take it up and forward. I'm going to move just a little bit more forward on the mat. We just had 4 of these, if I remember correctly. Drag it and take it back. Up and forward. This feels so nice. Head, neck, and eyes go with this lovely left hand. It helps. Soft gaze, panoramic vision. Last one. Wonderful. So now find your theraband, put it in your left foot. And hold it wherever you want a good stretch for that top shoulder and neck. Remember, your head and your tail are against the wall, so you've got this long side body. You take an inhale to prepare, and then exhale, that left leg goes behind you a little, 5 to 10 degrees. You let it lower, and you pick it up, swing it directly back under your hip. Take it back behind you, let it lower, lift, and directly forward. Let it go back, lower, lift, take it directly forward. Back, lower, lift, and underneath the hip. Let's say this is 6 and 7. So now I believe we bend the left elbow as the left leg kicks forward. Left leg goes back, left elbow lengthens. Left leg goes forward, left elbow bends, no death grip necessary. Left shoulder's happy, low belly stays lifted towards your breastbone and wide, soft and wide. Five. I love using the theraband to find more length. 6 and 7. Keep it back there. Easy shoulder. Your left hip is directly on top of the right hip. 7 tiny circles. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bring it out a little in front of you. Let your left thigh bone rotate out and it rotates in. Heel to sit bone, moving as a lovely long happy line. So it's essentially the thigh bone connecting into the heel bone via the leg bones, obviously, and the foot bones. And 6. The hips are directly on top of each other. Low belly is lifted. Small of your back is happy. 11. Everything should be happy. Yes, the thigh bone's starting to talk, and my bum is starting to talk. And last one, 14. Wonderful. And I'll come out of that band. Oh, what do you think? Did that help you feel a little bit easier and longer? I'm going to stretch my legs out in front of me. Sorry, I'm showing my back surface. Oh yeah, I'm a lot more even. I hope you can feel the difference. Okay, so now that we only have a few minutes left in class, because it goes by so fast, we're going to go into our hands and knees section. I'm going to roll over onto this side to come onto my hands and knees. From my hands and knees, it's very subtle. I'm going to let my elbows tuck towards my waist as I bend at my elbows by letting my spine stay as long as possible. And then I push back away. Hips are directly over the knees. Hands are directly under the shoulders. Head and neck floating above the space of the spine. Ribs soft into your back. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend at the elbows. Drag the earth towards your chest and your chest towards the earth, and then push back away. Just that part. We have 5 more times. Four more times. 3 more times. 2 more times. One more time. Did we all feel a little bit of triceps? I hope so. Take a breath in. Exhale, go down onto your forearms. You're still in this lovely long spine connection, but all you're going to do is go into a subtle little extension for the middle of your upper back. Stick your tail out, stick your chest out, and look slightly forward and up. Don't go too far back because then your neck will go into too big of an extension. Come back through your spine, round your low back, round your middle back, round your upper back. Cat in a different connection. Stick your chest out, go into cow and cat. On your forearms and your knees today, shoelaces of your feet down. This is a completely different adventure compared to being on our hands and knees. Wonderful. Now I'm going to go all the way down on my belly, find the theraband again, put it across the small of your back. If at any time you need a little space between your ribs and your hips, put a blanket between the ribs and the hips, and that'll keep the low back in a happier place because the pelvis would have lifted a little and curled towards the ground a little bit more. The theraband is going to go behind you, across the thigh bone and the bum connection. Your forehead and your head are just barely off of the mat. Neck is long, shoulders are relaxed, palms are facing down to the earth. And one more time, the thumb and the index finger meeting crease area of the hands is where the band comes into. And all I'm going to do is spread wide, pull out, and pull back in. Pull out and pull back in. Once again, my chest and my head and neck are just barely off the ground. My neck is long. And 4, 5, belly button is soft and lifted towards the breastbone. 7, yes, we're going for a large number, 15 to be exact. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then release. So now this next round, take your left or your right ear to the mat, turn and look left, take a breath in, let it go. Exhale, now the palms turn up to the sky instead of down to the earth. And we're gonna go pull the band side to side again, keeping the arms reaching for the feet. So your fingertips are reaching for your feet. And the theraband is still in the same thumb to index finger crease. I'm going to let my head come back to center, float my head and my chest barely off the ground, taking an inhale, exhale, pulling outward, then back in. Same thought process. I'm really trying to let the pinky side of my hand, lower arm into upper arm, find a deeper connection. 5, 15 of these as well. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wonderful. I am completely done with the theraband, and you're probably saying, "Woo, I'm so happy." So we'll take all of that to help connect into where the upper back. Ooh, I hope you can tell that it's a lot better tone at this point. To lift up into a Sphinx position to go into our single leg kick. So when you're in your Sphinx position, your elbows are just a little bit wider than the shoulders. And they can be in front of your shoulders or a little bit towards the shoulders, wherever you're happy, to keep the collarbones wide and we're not collapsed in our shoulders. We're up and out of the shoulders, broad, happy neck, looking slightly forward and up. And now same thing, the tailbone is slightly tucked towards your nose To keep the small of your back a little happier, we're going to bend that left leg, kick, kick, and release. And right leg bends, kick, kick, and release. Just that part. So point the foot, flex the foot, point the foot, and back down. Point, flex, point, and back down. Point, flex, point, back down. Point, flex, point, back down. In case you wondered, my feet and legs are a little wider than hip width apart. That's the only way the front of my hips can be happy. If I bring them too close to each other, they don't stay happy. So I have to honor my body's requests. We have 3 left each side after this right side. 3. 3. 2. I'm very slow and deliberate. And last one. And last one for the right side. Excellent. Roll all the way down onto your belly. Let your hands stack one on top of each other. Your forehead rests on the back of your hands. Shrug your shoulders and release. Just so you can learn, where are my shoulders when they release? How can they stay there? And glue the legs to the ground as much as possible. The shoelaces of your feet stay down. You take an inhale and you exhale, glue the hands to your forehead and lift your forehead and your hands off the ground. Keep that connection and let your upper body twist. So your right elbow ends up going down to the earth and your upper body twists. You come back to center. And then your left upper body twists, left elbow lands down to the earth, the right elbow points up to the sky, and you come back. Right elbow down, left elbow up, come back. Your hands are glued to your forehead to keep the neck space happy. And we're trying to get that upper body rotation in a much nicer connection. We have 3 more each side. 2 more each side. One more each side. And then we come back to center, sit back on our heels in child's pose. I know that was a challenge. I hope that went well for you. Some of you might know that I am a tennis fanatic, so I need a lot of release work for the upper body, and release work in this fashion is super helpful for me to have freedom in my shoulders, and freedom in my shoulders actually helps my hips feel a lot happier. As you can tell, I'm sitting way deep onto my child's pose with no problem. So now along that line, I'm going to come back onto tall kneeling position, pushing myself up. Here we go. When we're in our kneeling position, the low belly lifts, tail hangs loose, ribs are soft into our back. My arms are going to rest down by my sides. Just so you have a clear view, I'm going to go into an angle view for you. Here I am, kneeling tall. I have the big toe side of the blade of my feet talking to each other. I'm going to go into a side bend just so I can keep the happiness along that plumb line, so to speak, with alignment and focus. So now I'm going to tilt my left ear to the left shoulder. Left hand drags down the left thigh bone. Right arm's going to go up next to the ear without the right shoulder helping. And I'm just going to breathe into that right side body. And it's as though I have somebody magical pulling my right fingertips away from my right knee. And I haven't skewed my hips over to the right. My pelvis is directly over the knees. And then I come all the way back. I hope you felt that. That was really nice for me. Right ear tilts to the right shoulder, right hand drags down the right side of the thigh bone. And then we go up and over with the left hand. Now my left hand is being pulled by an imaginary friend all the way to where my left knee to my left fingertips feel a very glorious, happy stretch. And I've tucked my tail down to the ground just so I keep the small of my back happy and low belly lift connection. Right shoulder's happy, left shoulder's happy, and then coming back. We have 3 more each side. and back. And back. 2 more each side. Breathe whatever helps you feel comfortable. Can you stay in this tall kneeling, and can you keep the pelvis as quiet as available? 1 more each side. Ooh, time, shoot. I always forget to check with that time principle. We're close. And then coming all the way back. How did it go? I hope that went well. I mean, I feel a lot longer. I feel like somebody literally lifted my ribs off of my pelvis, so I'm happy about that. So here I am kneeling, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right leg out to the side, bring it out in front. I know we've done these before in these Zoom classes. It's all about me trying to step into this right foot. How do I propel myself forward to come all the way up to standing? Because that's what we've been working on. I'm going to take that right leg back to where I had it. I'm going to swing the right leg out, right thigh bone out, bring the right foot forward, and then come back to where I was. I'm going to lunge a little bit more forward to get a deep stretch, as you heard that pop, and then we come back, paying attention to where that leg and that foot stays back behind me, that the leg and the foot are not coming off the ground. They're staying happy on the ground. Last 2. Last one. It's an extra bonus for a stretch for the front of that hip. Wonderful. Same love for the other side. So my right leg is directly behind my right knee. I'm going to swing the left thigh bone out to the side, bring the left foot forward. Remember, you can always use a wall if you need to. Find a lunge if you need one, and then come back. Push off. Push off that front foot to help you come off. Make sense? Are the toes pointing forward? Is your knee going with the big and the second toe? Very important. 2 more. And 1 more. Very nice. So here we are. We're going to go on our hands and knees 1 more time. Tuck the toes under. Take an inhale. Exhale, puff the low back. Lift your hips off the ground into downward dog. Take an inhale to prepare. And then exhale, walk out into your plank. It can be a forearm plank, meaning you're on your forearms. Heels directly over the toes. Low belly lifted. Head and neck floating. Broad, easy collarbones. Elbows soft. Fingertips wide side to side. How long are we going for? A few moments. I won't give you a number. That way you don't have to worry about a number. But we're close. Yes, keep breathing. Keep smiling. Keep letting your low belly lift into your back. I hope you can hear the quivers happening in my body. If you're ready, roll over onto the blade of your feet to lift one hand up for your side plank. If this is not available and you need to bend the top leg in front of you, by all means do so. Whatever you're comfortable with. If this is continually available, take that top leg off the ground and keep it there for a few moments. And you're wondering, is she really counting? Yes, I am. Come back to your center plank. I'm sorry I have to show you my backside. I'm going to roll over onto the blade of my feet to take the other hand off for my side plank. Remember, you can do all of this on your forearm. And then if you want to, take that right foot off. And then come back to your regular plank. Take your hips up and back into downward dog. Walk your feet a little closer if you need to. Relax the shoulders. Shake your head yes and no. How did it go? I hear you saying great. And then from there, you're going to let your knees lower down onto the ground. Keep the toes tucked. Walk back and sit on your toes for a moment. Toe sitting connection. If this is not available or comfortable, don't go there. If you need to stay a little bit more forward just to get a stretch for the toes, that's also okay. But be mindful that you're not humping your back, that you're staying tall and broad and long as much as possible. We just have a few more seconds in this toe sitting position. I know it's a doozy, believe me, I do know. Because it's never completely comfortable for me, but it's been helping me stay really limber in my toes and my feet. So I'm going to continue giving it this love. Almost there. Hang in there with me. I know, maybe I'm saying it for myself, right? Convincing myself. Carefully come down onto your hands and knees. Put the shoelaces of your feet down, hero's pose. And you're going to have a seat again in that connection. I'm just trying to find another way to help keep my knees healthy, because the better the feet and the ankle are, the better the knees. Remember last week when we used the wall for a push-up and lifting or lowering the heels? We're going to continue that. I apologize for last week's audio discrepancies. I decided to not wear the AirPods because they don't seem to stay connected. And so I hope that this is a better experience. I will make sure and listen to this video before it gets published this time. So please forgive me for last week's discrepancies. All right, so far so good. One more stretching sequence. You're going to come forward, put the right foot across the ankle of the left, or across the middle of the left foot, and sit on that connection. So you have one foot on top of the other. The top of the foot is on the bottom of the back foot. You know what I'm saying. I'm going to stop talking. I make no sense when I talk sometimes. And then I'm going to come off. Let the other foot go down and the other foot go on top of the bottom foot. Holy moly, that's a different feeling for this side. My goodness. Excellent. So now I'm going to come back on my hands and knees. Curl my toes under. Let the small of my back curl. And let my knees lift off the ground into a downward dog. As you can hear all of these snap, crackle, popping happening. Lots and lots of popping. I'm going to walk my hands to my feet and roll my way all the way up. All right, so here we are. We're on our feet and legs all the way vertical. We're going to use the wall. We're going to go into that heels lifting and lowering. I'm going to use this wall today so you can see a little bit different connection. I don't know why I pulled the mat. I should have kept it far enough away. Here we go. I apologize. I'm taking my sweet time. So my hands are a little below the shoulders. They're as wide as the shoulders, if not a little wider. My feet are hip width apart. Now, if you have a small pillow that you want to put between your ankles, that's also another way to keep the inner ankles happy. So we're going to float both of our heels off of the ground. I have my elbows slightly bent to begin with, and I'm just going to bring a little awareness of alignment. Head floating, ribs soft, tail hanging heavy, low belly lifted. Take an inhale, exhale, let your body press forward towards the wall as you float your heels off the ground. Big toe, little toe side working equally. Lower the heels back down, come back on top of your feet. Forward and lift. Lower and back. Forward and lift. Lower and back. So now simultaneous, lift your heels as you go forward. Trust your body to find its way from falling. Because if we don't allow this to happen, then we will fall forward because we're fighting our body. We don't want to fight. We just have 5 more. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Excellent. All right, so now from here, we're going back to our plank, lowering all the way down, and then swinging our legs out in front of us. Take an inhale, exhale, round over. I know you thought we would go into our balancing section. We go out into our plank. We're gonna pull the earth towards us as we lower all the way down. Push back into a child's pose-like feeling to swing the legs out in front of you, legs nice and long, just because it's gonna feel so easy to do our low belly work. A little softer, curl back, pelvic tilt as far back to where you feel the bottom of your low back and the bottom stay broad. Bring your right leg into your right hand, left leg into your left hand. Stretch both legs up if that's available. Bend both legs down. Stretch both legs up, bend both legs down. Stretch and bend. Breathe whatever feels comfortable. Last one. Keep it there. And can you let go of your legs with your hands? Can your arms go overhead? Where are we today? Yes, it's a teaser. Can we maintain this? I'm quivering like a leaf, just so I say it out loud. Woo! And then I'm going to put the soles of my feet together, knees open, stretch forward. Here we go. One last thing. We're going to let our legs stay bent. Drag it as close to us as possible. We're going to roll like a ball to come up into standing. And we'll finish standing. We're going to curl back. Your hands can be wherever you want. You're going to roll like a ball if rolling is in your practice. If it's not, just hold the ball shape. 3 more times. Breath cycles work. 2 more breath cycles work. 1 more, and I'm going to come all the way up to standing from that rolling like a ball shape. Yay! I got there. I know, we're almost done. We're just going to take 3 full breath cycles, finding earth again, to enjoy this new floating feeling that we have in our bodies. I love how I feel. Two more breath cycles. I hope you feel as wonderful as I do. Thank you so much for your support with these Zoom classes. See you guys next time.